With the release of the Battlefront season this week on World of Tanks console, we do of course have some extra news for next week and what's to come throughout this season, and of course we have a little bit of a Q&A from Wargaming themselves, which you guys have asked on their live stream, which is always an interesting part to have a look at, so you can stay tuned for that later on in the video. But let's get into the events that Wargaming are running and what they're kind of intending to do and why they're actually a good thing for the game, and of course I'll be interested to see your thoughts on what it is all about. And if you are watching right now and you want to help me out, just hit the like button, as that massively helps out the channel and of course spreads it to more people, so we can hopefully build the community even bigger and go towards our goal of 17,000 subs. So either way, let's move into what this news is all about. Well, we do have the first bit, which is revealed to us on Friday, and that is that there is the Metal Fest Encore. This is kind of the end of the Metal Fest that they brought in a while back, and essentially the Metal Fest, it was kind of an event where it ran for a couple of weeks or a month or something like that, and they were releasing premium tanks that were kind of available with the skin from Megadeth and Metal Fest, and so we're going to see those added into the game again, and so you'll be seeing both the Iron Maiden and the Megadeth bundles back in the store, because, you know, selling them again, and so yeah, essentially you've got the bundles. We can have a quick look at what they are, but nothing too spectacular in that regard. Of course you can get the Megadeth Mega, you've got the Soldier Peace Cells, Megadeth Commanders, Megadeth 2D Commander Pack, and Vic Rattlehead 3D Commander. But if you want the Megadeth Mega, you can pick up all of the tanks available with that. So you've got the Leclerc Ares prototype, which is a Detente Era 3 Premium Western Alliance heavy tank. Yeah, a mouthful for sure. And that's the Peace Cells. That's what you'll see it in the game as. So yeah, you can pick that one up in this bundle. You've got the American T-Rate Soldier on M67 medium tank, which is also available. I really enjoyed that tank playing it. It was quite good. And of course you can have a look at the review if you want to, and then you've got all of the commanders associated with this, so you can see them here. You've got Vic Rattlehead, you've got Dirk Verbouen. I'm not even going to attempt this, I apologise, I'm going to probably butcher it, but you can pause the video, have a look at them all. These are the ones available, so you can do that if you're interested. But at the end of the day, it's 24,800 gold for 2 premium tanks and some premium commanders, and of course the 3D hero commander, which is Vic Rattlehead, and so yeah, very expensive. It costs about 50 to 60 pounds to be able to purchase 24,000 gold, so you can weigh that up in your own head whether you think it's worth it. But for me, for a couple of premium tanks and some commanders, probably not worth it, as I would do anyway. And then of course you got all of the small bundles. You can buy just the tanks, but they're very expensive. There's no discount on them, so 10,700 gold for the Tier 8 Soldier on M67 and 14,000 for the Peace Cells. To be honest with you, probably not worth spending you know, £35 to £40 on these vehicles. In my opinion, they weren't that good, and there are alternate versions within the tech trees on both Cold War and World War II that you can pick up instead. And then of course you can purchase all of the commanders for 7,600 gold, which is very expensive, and then you've got just the 2D commanders, blah blah blah, or you can purchase just the 3D hero commander, which is here. You can see him, you've probably seen him in the game maybe, but yeah, either way, that's available again, and you've got a load of extras as well, which is the Iron Maiden bundles. They come with some 2D commanders and a 3D commander as well, but once again, nothing too spectacular. But you can pick up the Iron Maiden Mega as well, has 2 premium tanks including the Amalad and the Senjutsu, and both of these tanks are very good, probably the better of the 2 bundles. But 30,000 gold is, as I say, very expensive to purchase, and probably costing you about £75 for all of these tanks, or just the 2 tanks and a load of commanders, which you probably won't end up using all of these anyway, since you usually would just want to train up 1 or 2 commanders or 1 commander for each nation, and they're giving you what, like 13 or 10 or something crazy. So yeah, I mean, it's just down to you whether you think that's worth it. But of course then they've got the bundles on their own, and for the most part very expensive as well, but slightly cheaper than the Megadeth bundles that we've got as well. So either way, for me, nothing too spectacular in that department. Nothing that's kind of screaming out to say go and buy these things. They're really, really amazing. But you know, if you're a big fan of you know, either Megadeth or Iron Maiden, then you can go and pick them up if you're interested. But either way, moving on, of course we had the Battlefront season, the season information, where you can pick up a variety of different tanks, and we had the review of the 114 SP2. This was a really fun tank, really good to actually have a tank that isn't overpowered or that isn't, you know, just annoying to come up against in the game. It's just a very solid, good tank that is kind of, you know, an average vehicle that is really good for players that want to challenge themselves and kind of learn the game and probably get a little bit more experience than playing something like an AVRE, for example. So really nice to see that they're not just bringing in another broken tier 10 that they're trying to sell the season pass with, which is always good. And so yeah, I think it's a good one to have in there. And of course then you've got the Chrysler K, the Corvettes, and the MBT-80, all of which we will do reviews in the upcoming days. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. Hopefully you're working your way towards rank 100, and then of course you can pick up these vehicles for free. So yeah, always really nice to have. Either way, moving on to some of the news for the next week. Obviously, we've done a little bit of a recap, and I guess we can cover a little bit of a recap to this point on the holiday ops as well. Obviously, we've been working our way through completing all of the community challenge, and as such, it has actually the community challenge has been finished. So when you jump onto the game, you'll get rewarded for your participation in the community challenge, which is good. You get a couple of extra kind of 2D style and stuff like that. It's nothing major, but it's a nice little extra for playing. And then we have the opportunity to get the Charlemagne. So this was an operation where you can basically pick up both the Charlemagne and Vinnie Jones 2D and some new garage gear, and all you have to do is just get through 250 points, which shouldn't be a problem for literally anyone. I think it's basically Wargaming's way of giving us a free gift. I think if you play somewhat casually on the game, you'll be able to pick this up. Obviously, if you play more, you'll be able to pick it up quicker, and some of you probably already have the Charlemagne already in the game. So as soon as I managed to pick up this tank, it's actually one of the very few premium tanks I don't already have on the game. So I can't do a review until we get that, but I will do that as soon as it comes out, or as soon as I unlock it even. So that is available right now. You can see it in the challenge tab on the actual game. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. And then, of course, we've got the advent calendar. Some of you, as you've noticed that I have, it is very random as to whether it actually pops up in your game, as to whether you can claim some of the stuff. I don't know if I'm just doing it completely wrong, but unfortunately, yeah, it's just a pain. Either way, if you log into the game, you should see the pop-up. You have to claim it, otherwise you just don't get it usually. So just keep an eye out, because it is just a pain. And of course, you'll be rewarded with garage gear, so stuff that you can put in your garage. You can customize it if you use the customizable garage. Some of you might not, but if you do, it's really nice to have in the game, and to customize it. There's loads of things I'm not too bothered about that some of them you have to pay for, as it's just down to you whether you want to customize your garage with some of the stuff. But a lot of it is free anyway, so you can just put in, you know, Christmas trees and all sorts of different things into the game. So very nice to see. It's nice to have a customizable garage, and of course we've actually dropped in a few tanks around the tank that you actually are playing or gonna play, which is cool as well. So either way, that's in the game, so you can do that. And then, of course, starting yesterday, as of the recording and publishing of this video, there is the Holiday is 8s, and this is available for the weekend and should be there until December 11th. Yeah, so you can basically play this all weekend, and you should be able to play a 7 versus 7 mode in the game. You've got a 10-minute timer, and you're playing on Himmelsdorf, Mines, Cliff, Ghost Town, Pilsen, Airfield, Port, and Berlin. Berlin being one of the newer maps. And essentially, you play tier 8 vehicles 7 versus 7. So instead of having your 15 versus 15 battles, you've got 7 versus 7. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out, given the name, but it's really nice to have in the game. I'm looking forward to seeing how it actually works out, and we'll do a video specifically on the 7 versus 7 mode and whether Wargaming should continue doing these sorts of things, because they have said that they will be doing more, and they've confirmed that there will be a tier 10 version of this coming out as well, in that it's like team destruction, etc. So really cool to have. I think it's good for the game. I hope that they do more of these sorts of events over the weekends that are just nice to do, and they're kind of cool stuff that you can actually do in the game. So I'm really happy that they do that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that they do add in these events every now and again, which is brilliant, and I think it's a good thing to do. Either way, that is kind of what's gone on recently in terms of the game, but what's happening next week? Well, of course, we've had the Tanksmith war chests, so we've seen you asking where these are, and here they come, with more variety than ever before, Christmas Garage Gear and Vinnie Jones himself. Plus, if you get Vinnie, he'll give you an extra 100 gold on top. But, of course, the Tanksmith war chests we can actually go and have a look at on the news tab, which are essentially something I covered in a video recently when it did actually get announced. And they are available right now. But to be honest with you, given that they are tank war chests, they only have a 2% chance of actually getting a vehicle in them. But if you do open 25 of them, you will be guaranteed a premium vehicle off of this list right here. So you can pause the video if you want. These are the vehicles you can get out of them. But you do have to open a minimum of 25 to be able to have the opportunity to get one of these. So open 25, you're guaranteed to get one off of this list. But you do have an extra 2% chance of potentially getting one of the vehicles just out of your cards that you're opening. So, you know, you've got like a 50% chance before you hit the requirement of 25 boxes to potentially get a premium tank. So yeah, just be just keep that into consideration when you do get these. But unfortunately, unlike the majority of the war chests in the game, if you receive a premium tank out of these boxes that you already own as a drop, then you will be compensated with the tank's value in silver instead of gold. So usually you get the gold value of the tank back if you get it again as a duplicate. This, you don't do that. You only get the silver, which is really weird. I don't know why Wargaming did that, but they did. And unfortunately, that's kind of how it goes. But for me, they're very expensive, 1,000 gold per box, which is just super expensive. And the majority of the time, you're not getting anything that you really want. So essentially, you're paying 25,000 gold for some boosters, which are great. I mean, yeah, whatever. And then you get one premium tank off of the list. And to be honest with you, the majority of these tanks, they're kind of fun, they're cool, but I wouldn't want to pay 25,000 gold for a couple of boosters throughout the boxes that you're opening and some silver, etc., free XP, that sort of stuff, and then a premium tank. This is probably not something that I would recommend to people, but if you're interested in opening up loot boxes, then yeah, I'm sure you can be addicted. But for me, these seem like a bit of a weird one that Wargaming would do, and I would expect that they'd have increased the chances of getting a premium tank to something slightly higher so that, you know, you have a little bit of a potential to get more premium tanks. But there you go. Obviously, you could get lucky out of your first box and get a premium tank, but remember, that is not the general case, and most people are not going to be able to do that. So just be aware of that. But what I wanted to talk about though is that the chest earner operation, so not got the gold to try out a tank war chest, well, they've got you covered. Deal 1,000 or more damage in 10 battles and get one of those new chests, and it can be completed 3 times. So you have the opportunity to pick up 3 chests. Now, for the most part, this is a tactic by Wargaming to be able to get you to spend money, because you feel like, oh, well, if I've, opened 3 cases, I'm only 19 chests away from being able to get a guaranteed premium tank. Now, yes, you could get you've got a 6% chance of being able to get a premium tank out of those 3 boxes if you compile the percentage chance. Obviously, you could go like, if it was just down to percentages and you weren't guaranteed one after 25, you could open like 100 boxes, just get super unlucky. It's not a guarantee that it's 6% chance. It's just that you get 2% chance every single time you open a card. And so, statistically, you are more likely as you open more to get more vehicles or a vehicle, etc. So you're going to have an opportunity to pick up a free premium tank with these 3 boxes, provided you play 30 games and you deal 1,000 or more damage in each one of those games. So essentially, you are getting 3 boxes for free, which is nice. You'll get some cosmetics, that sort of stuff, XP boosters, which is cool. I think Wargaming have done a good job with that. It's just it will be coming from the standpoint of they then want you to purchase 19 more boxes for 19,000 gold, spending money to be able to guarantee yourself a premium tank. And it's not actually 19, it's 22. I don't know why I thought that, but either way, 22,000 gold on top of getting those free boxes. So yeah, just be aware, you know, don't get drawn in by them thinking that, oh, I'm just going to open another few boxes and I should get a tank, because it's probably not the case. So just be aware of that. And then, of course, we had the Metal Fest Encore, which is the Megadeth and Iron Maiden that we covered earlier in the video. And you can go back and watch that if you want to see exactly the things and pause it, blah, blah, blah. But we won't go back over it. And then finally, we have the Q&A. This is probably my one of my favorite bits about what Wargaming is saying, and essentially what we have is a few questions that we can see what Wargaming's answers to, and these are kind of cool. The first one is there a way to implement something that will show marks of excellence percentage in the garage or in-game? This has come up before, and we are looking at an improved display and filtering for checking marks of excellence status in the future. This is something that they've said for a while. I'm not particularly, you know, they haven't given us a time frame. They're not saying like, oh, in the next year we'll look at this, or oh, in the next 6 months, or oh, in the next 5 years we'll probably come up with something like this. Yeah, it'd be nice to get at least a rough schedule as to when they think that they would potentially be able to do this. This should really come in with an update to the statistics page in the game, because right now if you go onto your profile and you see like your tanks, you can see like your statistics. It gives you the overall. It doesn't tell you how many total battles you've played, which is brilliant. I mean, that should be one of the key things, like, oh, I've played 25,000 games, or oh, I've played 500 games or whatever, but so far we don't actually have that. Yes, you could go through and add up every single tank that you played, or you could go to a third-party website not owned by Wargaming that tracks this. You know, hopefully Wargaming will implement their own for like actual way of being able to check your stats, and a lot of the stats in there, they don't give you much. It would be nice to see your highest damage, stuff like that. And if you want to see some of the lists that I thought would be really good additions and add your own things that you think would be really good to see in the game, then you can check out our specific video that we've done recently on kind of what updates Wargaming should be doing to the game, or at least they can't ignore the updates that we kind of highlighted, and I think that they would really help out the game and everyone who's playing it, including you. So, you know, hopefully you guys will put your own input into what you would like to see in the game, or what you would change, or some of the kind of quality of life stuff that would just make it a lot easier when you're playing. Either way, that is something that I agree with. There should definitely be a marks of excellence percentage. And, you know, it's only a small thing in terms of like the overall aspect of the game, but it's kind of something that I feel like should just be in there. Then we have, do you have any plans on doing any graphical updates soon? So it might be a while before we do big graphical updates, so no more information at this time. But there are some small things that the art team are working on, like surface reflections. Now, from my standpoint of why Wargaming aren't doing any massive graphical updates, is that what they're waiting for is for a bigger proportion of the player base to swap to the newer version of the consoles, as they did with, you know, 360 to Xbox One, or from PS3 to PS4, and then, you know, they get much better hardware, which allows you to be able to make wide sweeping changes to the whole graphics system within the game without, you know, forcing people who are playing on a 360 to not be able to play or whatever. And so what Wargaming did was just basically wait for a massive percentage of their kind of player base to move on to the new consoles, and then they released the whole kind of, we're going to get rid of supporting the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, and so now they're just focusing on PS4 and Xbox One and above, the kind of versions or generations of those consoles and above. And so as you see people picking up Xbox Series X's, Xbox Series S, or PS5s, or PS5 Pro, I'm assuming they have a version like that. But essentially, yeah, we'll be seeing graphics get changed, and I assume that they'll do the same thing, probably when the next version, the PS6 or the Xbox Series Z or something comes out, you know. So, and then, you know, they'll probably move it up to the Xbox Series X supported and the Series Z, you know what I mean. And then they'll do big graphics changes where the performance can be improved. Because right now when I play in my Xbox Series X, which I currently have, I log into the game, and before a lot of players have even logged in, I'm already in the game waiting, and you have to wait like a minute and a half. It comes up on the screen. Obviously you don't wait that long, but you can see everyone loading in, like actually into the game, and it's down to the processing power of those lower gen consoles, which is why you don't see, you know, why you have to wait longer even though you're in the game faster. And so yeah, it's kind of one of those things. And because the majority of people I see don't log in anywhere near as fast as what I do, I would assume that quite a few, or quite a big proportion of players, aren't playing on the new gen consoles, and more so on the Xbox Ones or the versions of that, and the PS4s, etc., PS4 Pro, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's probably why Wargaming aren't trying to do anything, because maybe they're limited by the older consoles. And I'm pretty sure that they've said this in the past, and that's why they haven't really done any big sweeping changes, and why we don't see graphical updates, just purely because the hardware isn't there on the older gen to support the graphical changes, and it would make it annoying to be able to do graphical changes to just one version of the consoles. I know that they could do that, but they probably just don't have the funding to be able to just do it for one, and so yeah, they'll wait until a lot of people, you know, like 90% of people are playing on the new gen. So yeah, that's kind of what will probably happen. But either way, we then have some extras, which is, since the MBT-70 has received its autocannon, will the CAT and MOBAT also receive it? So these are kind of versions of the same sort of vehicle. So yeah, hopefully they'll actually add the autocannon to these. Wargaming have said, we have an ongoing schedule of tanks that makes sense to receive this, but I have brought this up with the team, and those two currently aren't on the schedule, so it doesn't look like they're going to add it. Then we have, will there ever be a super heavy mercenary tank with the multi-gun mechanic like a main gun, autocannon and flamethrower? It's certainly possible, and we are allowing ourselves to get more creative. Yeah, we've been seeing the creativity coming in with the AVRE and some of the, you know, the console exclusive vehicles. It's funny how they seem to be just very weird and strong and have these really annoying mechanics that we see in the game. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to what they could potentially come out with, and hopefully they actually think about how it impacts the gameplay so that people don't get angry at it and stop playing the game, because ultimately people do that, and it is just annoying to be hit by things like the Ruthless, the AVRE for 1400 damage. Even though you haven't necessarily done anything wrong in your game, they just decided to YOLO you, lose all their health, and deal 1400 damage to you. It was bad enough having YOLO wagons in the FE 4005, but at least you could do something back to them when you're playing up against them or counter them. The newer versions, like we've mentioned, don't seem to have that same sort of easily pennable or just easier to deal with, or to track them down and lock them down so they can't do the damage to you. You still can, but it's a lot harder, and the more that they do those sorts of vehicles, the more and more it's just going to be a pain to play anything that isn't those type of vehicles. So hopefully they kind of think about it a little bit more than they have been recently. And I've heard from people like Ricky Tikitave about the kind of changes that they've been doing to Cold War, and some of the Era 3 tanks are just horrible to play. Like, all of the premiums seem to be radically better than some of the tech tree versions, and I'm not surprised in the slightest. So yeah, it just seems annoying that they're going so hard on releasing kind of overpowered stuff and stuff that's just super strong or just annoying. Yeah, it kind of sucks in that regard. But either way, I'm interested to see what you guys are thinking anyway. But then, is there any chance we will see rank battles again? So they're thinking about it, and we know this comes up a lot. We are interested to know what you liked about rank battles. Maybe they'll bring it in or something. From my personal opinion, I don't really see the point in rank battles. I think that they should be there, but I don't think a lot of people will play it as a separate mode, and we don't want to see some kind of hybrid where they're starting to bring in skill-based matchmaking into the game. I don't think the matchmaker will support it anyway. But when they start bringing in skill-based matchmaking, it just becomes not that fun to play, because you're constantly playing like tough games regardless of your skill level. You're playing against people that are either the same level as you or slightly better, or, you know, it just makes the game less dynamic. You know, you don't feel like you can dominate people, or you feel like you get, you know, it's just constantly hard and you're having to focus the entire time, which I don't think really suits World of Tanks. It is meant to be more of a casual gameplay experience that you just jump on, you enjoy it for a couple of games or whatever, as I'm sure most people do. So yeah, rank battles, it's one of those things that I'm not sure is really viable as a, researching or developing into like they did in the past, and I don't think it was that successful, which is why they haven't brought it back from from what I know anyway. But of course, I'll be interested to see your thoughts either way, and it'll be interesting overall to see what your whole opinions are. But let me know in the comment section down below, and I will join you in the next video. Have a great rest of the weekend, and that's it for today. Goodbye.